How has compliance changed in the industry over the last 9-10 years that you've been around?
That's absolutely huge, man. Buy here, pay here, when I first came in the business, it was always scrutinized, always, looked at under a microscope. So of course that was kind of my foray into the car business, is compliance getting kind of pounded in your head.
It's viewed as a lot of times the redheaded stepchild of the part of the industry, that it's required, it's absolutely necessary, and there's a few, from my short experience in talking to a lot of dealers, I've realized that a lot of them are doing the basic requirements,
Sure.
and not a lot of them are positioning themselves to be protected, because it's hard to express to them that the prevention is cheaper than the cure.
Certainly.
And that's one of the challenges that I've seen and
Hiring you
faced.
following an audit's probably more expensive than hiring you before an audit.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, we've both read cases of class action lawsuits, and that could have been prevented very easily. And at the end of the day, where do you see the seriousness level? Because you're part of a dealer 20 group, correct? Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that's one of the topics that you've talked about.
Oh, certainly, and it's usually kind of top of the agenda most of the time when attending either seminars or 20 group meetings. Usually compliance is one of the top items. Specifically in buy here, pay here, it's always top of the agenda. But in the retail, standard retail atmosphere, it's definitely a high priority topic. And the reason behind that is because it's kind of ever evolving. It's ever changing. What is it? The Frank Dodd Act that was in play years ago. They've made modifications to those regulations along the way. The CFPB, was something to be feared back, 7-8 years ago, and now is something that's a bit of a normalcy today, and almost moving towards dissolving in a way, it breaking out into its core components and such. So it's really, it's changing as quickly as the political atmosphere is changing. So every 4-year cycle, you almost have a complete new set of rules to a certain...
It's tough. When the Military Lending Act came out, we were one of the first.
Oh, that was chaos. Just no one knew who they could sell what to when. It was nuts. So it's starting to get a little more clear, it seems like.
What was that like when that first week came out?
Oh, they just said stop selling gap policies, which made no sense whatsoever. If there was one product that benefits my customers, especially those that are deployed overseas and maybe their wife's driving a vehicle or something, it would be a gap policy. Protect yourself against the financial responsibility there.
And for those people who are not familiar with gap, can you just explain real quick what gap is? Yeah.
Guaranteed asset protection. So that essentially, if you total loss your vehicle, regardless of your stance within that loan, positive or negative equity, the gap policy is going to cover the rest of that loan.
So if you total your car, and the insurance company says it's only worth $20,000, but you owe $25,000 on your loan, gap policy covers the gap between what is being paid. Okay.
It's an acronym and a term.
Nice.
That being said, though, there's a lot of folks that don't really look into the policies like that. They see them as snake oil, which has been really what the products in finance have been painted as over the past few years.
How can we change that?
Honestly, it's hard to change perceptions other than experience. And what I've noticed is that consumer confidence in the products that are being sold is increasing on there, especially the vehicle service contracts and gap policies. It's not until you need a gap policy and have it that you're confident in that product, because it does nothing for you until you need it, unfortunately.
Can you explain?
What I notice that people don't think about that are not compliance minded, not compliance oriented, and keep in mind that's just what was pounded in me when I first came up, is the language that they use. Service contract and warranty are not interchangeable words. Warranty and guarantee are not interchangeable words. They all mean something different, and they all mean something different when it comes to compliance and what you're trying to explain. And this is where Mosaic and services like yourself come into play is, the dealer creates the brand aspect, which you reinforce, but you ensure that the way in which that's being described to the consumer, the end user, is compliant in everything that they say. Because if I tell somebody that they're getting a warranty on something that doesn't exist, then the dealer's culpable at that point.
Yeah.
So it's important that they're saying the right words to people as they're explaining things. And nowadays, compliance services are more important than ever. I mean, it's an extremely litigious society. At every turn, there's somebody that wants to sue for something else based on some minor infraction that could create a major financial problem. Audit scenarios and things of that nature. Compliance now more than ever. If dealers are not on some sort of compliance program right now, then they're going to find themselves very soon in a bad way, which is going to cause them to not win this race. And right now we are racing the manufacturers and we are racing the internet to survive. Compliance might kill the dealer. Yeah. And I don't want that to happen.
Neither do we.